Well, I must say, y'all spiff up pretty nice.
I know, right?
Put them on there. Stay.
Sure.
I'm gonna have to put them down.
Go on. My buddies. Are we doing that? We don't care. Individually? Do I have to show you the right side or the left side? Assume the position. Hold on, you want some numbers in front of you?
You can. Look for save that picture.
Yeah, we did. We were just sitting in the Margaret Path.
Save. Now you can go back to her because that's got my Twitter name. And I did a lot of like videos so that they would know, like show her location.
I know. She did a 3-day Nick Houston. And she was in her Nick Houston.
Check.
Let's just eat up front.
Right. Nobody wants to be up front.
If anybody wasn't here earlier, the format's going to be, if you have a question for any or all the candidates, you need to write it down on the piece of paper back there, then drop it in whichever bucket or the group you want it asked to. Thank you.
You hear that okay? Yep.
Good luck to both.
You can come down here too. Just hold her hand. Just gotta move on like that. photos that. Do you want a pad of paper?
No, I got some. It's still up and people are still joining. There's 8 people.
Okay. Well, I just.
If you tap this little down arrow,
Yeah.
it says stop broadcasting.
Okay.
But you can't, of course you can't stop it. But
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dan Hooley, and as the president of Commercial Point Community Men's Club, I want to open this evening with a quick announcement. On behalf of Commercial Point Community Men's Club Foundation, I'd like to thank you all for attending the Meet the Candidates Night tonight. Before I turn over the mic to our mediator, Bruce Griffin, I'd like to ask everyone a favor. This evening is intended to be informational and educational, okay? We want to ensure that all questions are for the purpose of learning the candidates' views on issues and the future of the Village of Howard. Any questions that are intended to be malicious or slanderous will not be allowed. I'd ask that we use this time to ask questions and learn from one another regarding our hopes for the future of our community. Thank you very much. Here's Bruce.
Hello, everyone. If you didn't know, for questions, there's paper and buckets back there. So if you have a question for one of the candidates, you'll need to write it on the piece of paper and throw it in the proper bucket. The format we're going to use tonight will give each of the candidates 3 minutes to stand up here and give their introduction and whatever they want to say. And then after all of them are done, we'll start with the questions. What we'll do, if they're directed, say, to one of the mayoral candidates, they'll give their answer. They'll have a minute to answer. Then the other 2 candidates will also have the same amount of time to say what they want to about the subject. So tonight we'll start down here with the mayoral candidates at the far end. So we'll just work our way around the front here with the introductions.
All right, well, thank you everybody for coming tonight and meeting the candidates. My name is Gary Joyner, and I'm running for mayor here in the village. It's pretty simple, really. I've watched for 4 years now. A lot of things going on during council meetings that I don't find to be acceptable. I got to a point where, enough was enough. And I figured it was time for somebody to sit there and run that could make a change. I believe that my education, my background, military experience, law enforcement background, my leadership experience at several places throughout Columbus would help to, build some continuity. That's what we need. I mean, it's community. There's a lot of people that have gone on Facebook and things, and you stated an opinion or what have you, and you're smashed. And I don't think that's right. I believe in community, I believe in voice, and I think that I'd be a very good candidate for this position. Thank you.
Good evening, folks. First of all, I want to thank the Men's Club for this opportunity. My name is Jim Kuzalka. I've been a resident in this community for almost 30 years. I've served on council for 12 of those 30 years. I was president of council. I am in the construction business. I'm a superintendent. I have a good construction background. I have a good leadership background. The one thing I can do for you is take this village to the next level. We have a lot of growth coming our way with new hospitals being built. They're going to be moving someplace, and we have to be prepared for this. The main thing that happened in the past, I can't fix, nor can anybody else. It's in the past. It is the future that we need to concern ourselves with, not the past. What you've read, what you've seen, what's happened is all gone. It was yesterday. I will be a good mayor, a great mayor. I will go ahead and listen to the public. We will try to grant their wishes, and we will make sure that this is a great place to raise your family and have your families also be raised here. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Randy Shelton. I'm running for mayor, just like the other two gentlemen. I've been on council, served on council for the past 4 years. I've been president of council for the past 2 years. I've got a bachelor's degree in business, a master's degree in organizational management, 40 years of leadership experience in industry, construction, in various places throughout industry. I'm currently production manager at a steel company in Columbus. On 4 years of being on council, we've done a lot of good things. We've started to put sidewalks in place, put a crosswalk for the kids to safely go through across Main Street and get to the school. We had citizens help with that, and I appreciate their help. I've talked with and listened to citizens for the 4 years that I've been on council, and look for the opportunity to serve as your mayor. I feel I'll be a great mayor, and I just want your vote. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ron Jan, and I'm running for Cider Township trustee. A little bit about myself. I'm 48 years old. I'm a retired firefighter from Jackson Township in Grove City. I had 29 years there. That gave me a lot of experience with township government and working with budgets, so I'm familiar with the budgeting process, township government. I'd like to ask for your vote. I think that we need somebody in to replace Ms. Stark that understands our rural heritage of our area, but also understands the need for growth and the need to be able to adapt to what's coming our way. I now am a full-time farmer, so I think I'll have the time to devote the time that I feel needs devoted to the township. We're not a big area. We don't have the budgets that neighboring townships to the north had, so I think that the township trustees need to have an active role in what happens in the township and the work that needs done to conserve the tax money and make sure it goes to the right area. So I'm just asking for your vote for me, for Ron Jan, for township trustee. Thank you.
Good evening, thanks for coming out. My name is John Maynard, I'm running for Soda Township trustee, 53 years old, reside there since 1997, my family, 5 children. This November I'll be retiring from the High Department of Transportation after 30 plus years. I'm presently the administrator over the Office of Real Estate, oversee all the real estate, right-of-way, drive permits, cell tower programs, oil and gas leasing, communications with the legislators, governor's office, in 88 counties. Have past experience in cell towers, cell tower lease, small cell towers, fiber optics, communications. Right now, presently working with the 2 largest fiber optic cell tower corporations in the United States on the small cell programs going out through the state of Ohio. I've got experience working with county engineers, Pickwick County, Madison, Union, 8 surrounding counties directly. Supervised over 172 employees. We diversified and split those up now over the office of 24 employees. 30 years in the bargaining unit, understand budgets, understand contracts. What I'd like to see is we are going to have growth. We have the hospital coming in. We also have rooftops. With that, we need to be a part of the active growth and control growth. I've got experience working in the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, Ohio Public Works Commission, small grants, Federal Highway, FAA, any federal organization you can think of, Army Corps. I've got 30 years experience working with them. I'd like to see improved with the budget, $2.6 million this year. I'd like to see us invest in our community. I'd like to have an active voice in the community where we can have a spirit of cooperation with the township, with the village, with Pickwick County engineers, with Jackson Township, Mayor Stage, and everybody in Grove City would be an active voice so we can sustain the growth. We know the growth's coming. Let's have a seat at the table. Like to see improved pocket parks, some kind of recreational facilities here in the community, or senior citizens activities, some we can pay forward. This is a farming community that also has growth coming. We need to recognize what we are and get involved in the community and the active growth. I thank you for your attendance. Regardless of how you vote, just please go out and vote November the 3rd and exercise your right to that freedom. Thank you.
My name is Scott O'Neill. I'm running for village council here in Commercial Point. I've been a resident for 10 years. I come to most of the council meetings. I try to attend all of them. I like to be involved in the community. I'm a member here at the men's club. Is that better? Can you hear? Okay. Member of the men's club. I have a roofing company. Work mostly in Grove City. My wife came with me. Got 3 kids, 2 dogs. I'm not anything special. I'm just like a normal guy. But I'm a local guy. I'm here. I like the small town feel, but you have to be ready for the growth. This village is not prepared for it. There needs to be chartering for the village. There needs to be 5-year, 10-year plans to look forward. The village doesn't have that. We need to be ready for that stuff. I've run for council in the past. I didn't get it, but it doesn't hurt me. I just want to do what's best for the village, and that's why I'm here tonight, and that's why I'm running. So I'd like you to vote for me as one of the 2 council seats on voting day. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John Capreto. I'm running for village council. I've been a resident here for 11 years. I've coached Little League baseball here. I've also coached Little League basketball. I've been a Columbus firefighter for 18 years and a paramedic. I've also served as the vice president of our local union. I've dealt with city budgets, contracts, and I understand municipality, dealing with municipality and dealing with contracts and stuff that we need to deal with here. These guys are all correct. There's growth coming, and I believe that I can help continue to see this growth go through. We're on a right path. We just need to continue on it. So I'm asking for your vote. And again, John Capreto for Village Council. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Ben Townsend. I'm running for Village Council. I'm 29 years old. I'm from Grove City, Ohio. I graduated in 2004. I've worked in law enforcement for the last 8 years. My wife and I live over on west side of Green, where there currently is nobody on council to represent that side of the village. If you're sitting here tonight, it means you want answers. It means you're here on your own time because you care about the village and you want to make sure I care about it as much as you do. You want to make sure I bring real solutions with me as part of council, not just bandages. My focus to speak with you right now is the safety of our village. For too long, our current council has not really taken it seriously. I started attending the council meetings about a year ago when they brought a resolution to the table basically stating that they wanted to disband our own police department. I didn't feel that was right. I felt we were going to be better covered if we had our own police officers down here doing it, other than the county. They tabled the issue because they heard the people's voice that night. There was a special meeting. A lot of people were there. They expressed that they loved our police department. They wanted to keep it, but we need to grow it. Recently, that was taken off the table and voted on, and it was voted down. I find that kind of odd at the timing, seeing how it's election season. In speaking with the residents, I've heard that for the most part, everybody still wants a police department. Everybody enjoys the police department. If elected, I want to focus on developing the police department. I also as everybody else has said, we've got a lot of growth coming in our village. We need someone who's gonna be fiscally responsible, I'm sorry. That's gonna maintain a nice budget, a decent budget, not gonna overspend. We've got some large expenditures coming with the infrastructure of our village. We need to make sure we do that properly. That way we're not broke in a couple of years. We need to maintain open lines of communication with the residents. And we also need to maintain transparency, which I think has also been an issue recently. I know when I moved down here, I loved it because it was a small town feel, and I want to keep it that way. I hate what I see currently. I'm sure a lot of people in here have Facebook and have seen what's going on Facebook, and I find it a little ridiculous that we can't get past this. You know, like Gary had said, somebody puts an opinion on there and they're attacked for it. I don't think that's right. That's a big issue I want to resolve, hopefully, if I'm elected to council. I believe we need to instill some code of ethics of some sort. Well, I don't want to take a bit more of your time. I feel that I've come here and addressed some of my views. I want to maintain this village that I know I love. I know I'm not the most experienced candidate here, but I feel I'm the most passionate. If you agree with the topics I've addressed tonight, and you want to make this community great again, I challenge you to make the right decision and vote for someone with ethics and morals. Vote for me. Fantastic.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll start here with the questions for mayoral candidates, and this one's to all three candidates. The question is, what are your plans for the village in your 4 years? So we'll start down the opposite direction this time.
As everybody said, we are going to have growth. I believe the first thing we need to do is we need to finish the safe passageways through the village, sidewalks throughout. The subdivisions have sidewalks where people can walk and get to and from in their subdivision. But in the main part of the village, that's been lacking for years. We've addressed a little bit of that in the past couple of years, and we're going to continue on with that. We have more sidewalks going in, I think, in the next week. On top of that, we need a better internet system. I moved in 9 years ago. First was Usenet, then it was Country Connections, and then Frontier. And we are now going further with IntelliWave. And on top of that, we need to build a better police department than we have currently.
I think we all agree, and I agree with Randy, I was not an advocate of the sidewalks. Everyone knows that. But then after I've seen them being used, they have become an important part of this community. I also want to see a way to link these subdivisions to each other and to the village proper through a bike path, walk path type thing, including Chestnut Estates. And have a safe passageway for the families to be able to get here, to run on, or whatever. We have nothing for our kids. We need to create a park, some kind of a park of our own identification. I know that I have worked with a young lady here somewhat to create a possibility of buying property in back of the village building from the school that is on the table to create a park area. The police department seems to be a primary issue, but it is a small part. It is a small part of what's happening in this village. We need to get this police department under control, and I guess my time is done.
I appreciate what the other candidates have said. I guess, really it's about building a strategic plan for this village. Everybody here knows that growth's coming. We know there's 1,800 jobs coming in the hospital down here in Mount Carmel West, moving to Grove City. The 15-year strategic plan for northern Pickaway County is one where we'll probably double, triple, maybe even quadruple our population. So, I'm here with you guys because I'm part of, this community. We moved here because we enjoy being with you. We enjoy the conservative values. We enjoy the school system. As the other candidates have talked about, we don't have anything in place right now. We have $1.3 million sitting in the general fund. And that's not earmarked for anything. I want to know, I'm paying my RETA taxes. I want to know where that money comes back. Where is it coming back to the community? I haven't seen anything. And I'm sure if I ask each and every one of you, has your life gotten any better? You've seen any improvements over the course of the last 4 years? I don't think you can. We talk about parks. We were offered, preach a sermon. But, we had 44 acres offered to us, 5 or 6 years ago. Jim, you'll be able to, verify that. At $6,000 an acre. Where is that today? At that time, we weren't in the land management business. That's what the comment that I heard. Sorry.
The microphone. This is addressed to you, but the other candidates have a chance to answer. Oh. The question's addressed to Mr. Joyner, but the other candidates have a chance to answer as well. What is your professional experience in dealing with high-dollar budgets? Anything over $1 million? Contracting experience, bid documents, invoicing, accounting in general?
That's a good question. When I was working at Nationwide, I was administrative manager over Western Ohio down into Northern Kentucky. Part of that was managing a budget of $26 million. I had to set an answer for that on a quarterly basis. My sole job was really supporting the claims departments and about, 300 to 400 employees out in the field. So not only did I have the opportunity to experience or to work on strategic planning, I also had the experience of handling fleet management and working with outside vendors, which probably a lot of you can verify that can be tough. Not having employees, but having to work with somebody, a third party. So I would say that I have a pretty good handle on that part. I have a master's degree in management. I have an undergrad in business administration. I've been around a little bit. Law enforcement. We talk about law enforcement here. One of the big concerns when I walk around, and I've talked to a lot of you at your homes, what are we going to do to secure our community?
Wow. I'm a high school grad. Paula, how much money we got in the bank? That's my budget. No, actually, I was in the development of Genoa Crossing from day one. When I came out there was a horse running in the field. So we had to do a lot of management stuff there, as far as organizations with different companies, getting the land development, laying out roads, doing the SID improvement district, as well as building of the houses. And the budget size there, I have no idea. I didn't ever ask my boss how big that was. I just kept spending his money. We also were with the village for 12 years and also on the board to fix the budget for the village and work with that. As far as, I guess, my wants and needs and background, that's about it. But I will be and do know what this village needs. I'm not going to let it get near me.
Yeah, you gotta watch that guy. Anyway, so I've been involved for 40 years with progressive experience and progressive leadership. And as far as budgets go, our maintenance budget this year at ArcelorMittal is about $10 million. And we're tasked to be under budget because the economy was not real good for a period of time in the steel industry. I've been involved at U.S. Steel at Gary Works, where we basically rebuilt the coke plant there. I was at Ashland, Kentucky, worked at that coke plant for AK Steel, and we basically rebuilt the place. We have, I've been dealing with budgets for the majority of my managerial career, which now is over 30 years. And millions of dollars is normal.
Well, I'm keeping track on the time there. Three Stooges comes on at 10 o'clock, so I gotta get home. The next question is to all the mayoral candidates. What are your thoughts on the dump truck business being ran on the property that is zoned residential? There are a couple questions about this. We'll start. We'll give Jim a chance. He didn't get a chance to go first. Okay.
Put me on the spot real quick now. I do know that it is in a R1 district. I do know that the 4 or the 3 houses or the 4 pieces of property out there have covenants that cover that as far as what can go on that property and what cannot go on that property. I haven't, only through what I've heard at council, not privileged to what attorneys are saying and that, but from what I understand, it has gone to litigation in Circleville and lost. If that's what I've heard correct, I don't know. My feelings, is that not it? Somebody's shaking their head out there, I don't know. I haven't followed it that much. I think there are some issues with that as far as personally concerned. As being on R1, we have business districts. I know that they have applied, I believe you have applied for B1 district over there. I'm not sure what's happened with that. Do I approve of it? Not particularly, no.
I can say without a doubt that I am against it. There is an R1 district. There's a reason it's an R1 district. It is for residential, it's not for business. They did apply for a business variance or to be rezoned as business. That was turned down. The folks that build homes, and there are some beautiful homes just built there recently, okay? You got to feel for those folks that put their hard-earned money into an R1 district to have a beautiful home, and now all of a sudden you've got 6 or 7 dump trucks that are there. They're being worked on throughout the day. They're started up. In the wintertime, it's only going to get worse. They're going to have to start them and run them for a period of time. So I'm dead set against it.
Well, I guess I get to be the odd man out. Because I feel as though, at first when I seen it, and I talked to my wife about it, you know, when it started to be developed, I said, you know, that's wrong. But then after doing some research and talking to some folks, I find out that what's Gary's recent law? Zoning inspector had approved it, or was out there when they were developing it. So here's my take on that. So I think once that expectation is set as an officer of a village, I think you have to walk through it. I think at that point it sits across from the township garages there. I understand and I feel for those people that have built along 762. But, you know, the blame doesn't go on the Clements. The blame really goes on the village because they set the expectation. I don't know where it'll go in court. At that point, it's in the court's hands. But even though I was against it at first, I think that once you set that expectation, you have to fulfill it. So why not roll it over to a business plot and tax it, as commercial?
Thank you. This question is directed to all three candidates as well. What are your plans to have checks and balances in place that are non-existent now? Examples, village office employee, no zoning board of appeals, and no planning commission.
There is a zoning board of appeals, that's the body of council. That was voted on by council several years ago and continued on through the current administration. Does there need to be a planning commission? Absolutely. As we've heard, we've talked about, there is going to be growth. There's growth going on at Chestnut right now. There's I guess it just passed today through the county, the annexation plan for the new part of the subdivision there. There's 50 to 60 houses going on in Walker Point. I don't know, I can't keep track. Is it phase 2, phase 3, phase 3? Okay, so phase 3 in Walker Point, there's going to be another 50 to 60 homes. There is going to be growth. We heard that. There's a hospital coming in. We heard that. We know that. 20 years ago, Stringtown wasn't very populated. Now, London Groveport is very populated, okay, with a lot of businesses. It's moving south, folks. So we have to plan for it, we have to be ready for it, and we need to have a planning commission.
I agree with Randy. One of the only times I think that I've been at a council meeting and I've heard something that I applaud Joe for, was the fact that he brought up planning committee at the last council meeting. I think that's a great idea. I think that having 3 people that are separate from, the council or employees of the village that sit on it, that are experts in that area, an architect, a developer, I just think we're ready for that. It's time that we start to mature as a robust community. And we start, working towards, preparing for our future. We talked about internet, things like that, things that we need. I work from home. I have no real 4 megabytes of high speed or DSL. We have an opportunity right now, like Randy had said, about IntelliWave. You're talking 1,000 megabytes for $79. I mean, that's all fiber optic. It runs at the speed of light. So those are really good opportunities for us. And I think we need to capitalize. We had an engineer from Time Warner that was at that meeting. And when he walked out, he said to me, we need to...
He's going to give me my exercise tonight. Thank you.
We have, like Randy said, a zoning board of appeals already in place. I was on a planning commission when I first came to this village, and we screwed up on a couple of things because we didn't know exactly what we were doing, nor were we experts at that time. So, like Gary said, it is important, if you have a planning commission, you have qualified people. To find these qualified people to volunteer to do this, sometimes it's quite difficult. The issues that we face is that we sometimes have too many committees. And when you do that, you need to utilize your committee of the whole. If you have this committee here and this committee here, you still got to go to the committee of the whole to start the whole project all over again. Utilize your committee of the whole. These are the council people that will make decisions and then get a consensus. So when they go to the council meeting, they are all on the same page and we can stop these arguments that are going on.
Okay, this question is for all the candidates as well. On a scale of from 1 to 5, 1 being liberal, 5 being conservative, how would you rate yourself, your views, and your beliefs?
Is it my turn?
Yeah, walk up front again.
Well, I'll just start off right from the get-go. I'm conservative. I'm a 5+. You know, I believe in small government. I believe that you should have representation before you get taxed. I believe that, you know, we have a duty to our seniors in this village as far as applying services back. I think that we need those type of centerpieces to really build our community out. I'm biblically based. You know, I've been, serving the Lord for, 14, 15 years now. I believe in giving back to communities. I believe in being a part of the community as far as from a donation standpoint and giving a hand up to people. Not a handout, but a hand up. And I think that's what villages and I think that's what communities are for. Fire department, the police department. You know, these guys should be applauded for the service that they do. You know, so I don't want to take up all the time, but, you know, that's really everything, you know, to me. So, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm not going to walk that far, I'm old. I'm a 2.5. And the reason I say that is because you cannot say that you're going to spend all this money, and you cannot say you're going to save all this money. Each and every time there's issues that come up that you may have to spend more that year than the prior year. So you really can't say I'm going to be a liberal or I'm going to be conservative. What I am going to tell you is I'm going to be financially responsible to this village. And we're going to do what it takes to move this village ahead. With a good council that works together, with the mayor. So that is where I'm at, standing on that.
So I'd like to say I'm conservative, but I guess I could go probably closer to a 3 to a 4 on that. I will agree with Jim. Fiscal responsibility is what I ran on 4 years ago. That's what I worked for the 4 years that I've been on council. We were able to build the budget. We were able to do things within the village. We put in sidewalks. We put in a Walker Point connection, the walkway that goes from Walker Point into the village. We put in the crossing lights. We've done streets and roads. We've done a lot of good things. I want to continue to do those good things. And on top of that, not only did we build a surplus, we also cut the RETA tax. We cut it from 1% to 0.75% this year. And that was a goal for us to do that. We've added police hours. We went from 60 hours to 90 hours. So, he's here. Thank you.
Okay, this question is well to all the candidates. What will you still do for the village if you are not elected?
I came here 30 years ago. I married Paula. I have a daughter. Part of the deal was if I married Paula, I had to join the men's club because her father was president of the men's club. This is my home. I will still continue to support it. I chose to live here. Didn't have to live here. This is where I want to be. And I will go ahead, no matter who gets elected, and we will continue to support and fight for the betterment of this village. If I disagree with them, they will know it. If I agree with them, they will know that also. But you are very important to me as citizens. You are all considered my friend.
Debbie and I moved in here 9 years ago. Didn't know Commercial Point from who knows. We love it. Tays Valley School District is a good school district. It's a growing community. It's a thriving community. What will I do if I'm not elected? Well, I'll continue to do what I have been doing. I'm going to keep the nicest yard that I can keep. I'm going to continue to be helping out with any events that need to be helped out with. I helped out with PTO events. When the men's club asked for help for the go-kart races this year, they needed help. I joined, or I didn't join, but I joined the effort. I didn't join, I joined the effort to put it together, to help it be put together. Helped out with the homecoming, phenomenal homecoming this year. Men's club should be applauded 1,000 times for that. I'll continue to be involved.
I just work better when I'm out here walking around. So, you know, I think it's important to understand that this isn't the end-all be-all. Okay? I'm running because I don't like what I see going on, and my wife told me that I can't complain if I'm not willing to do something about it. So, life will go on, and I'll continue to go to council meetings, and I'll continue to try to hold people accountable. I'll make sure that we do enforce what we've talked about with the police department. You know, we have 4 positions that are available, and I mean, that's what the RETA tax was originally passed for, was for the police department. And here we are, how many years later, and we still can't give these guys time off, sick leave, vacation time. I mean, how many firemen would work under those type of circumstances? You know, if it was union, we wouldn't even be having this talk. But it's not, because of the size of the village. So those are my thoughts. That's my person. That's my intrinsic value. You know?
Okay, this is they're all candidates as well. Who would you ask council to appoint as the village administrator?
That's a good question. I've given it some thought, and I'd rather not say. My wife is currently the village administrator. Obviously, if I'm elected to mayor, she can't be that because that's an administrative office and works directly for the mayor. But I have some candidates in mind to ask, but I'm not going to put somebody's name out without at least talking with them to make sure that they would want it and that they would embrace it.
I got to get elected first. And you can help me with that. As far as the village administrator is concerned, it's an important position, and it will take a lot of thought. I have, like Randy, some candidates in mind. I've talked to some candidates. We are still in a talking process. If that should happen, then I do get elected. But to disclose their name at this point in time, I think is unfair to them. And I don't think that it needs to be a hurry-up situation. We need somebody really qualified, because I don't think a lot of people understand how important that position really is. It's actually more powerful than the mayor's position, quite frankly.
Well, I don't have no problem shooting my mouth off, so I'll tell you who I think should do it. Wendy Hastings. Wendy's currently the fiscal officer, and she does all the work of the village administrator already. I just think that's just a natural progression for her. I think that we hire an administrative assistant to help her with the bookwork, etc., and pretty much sums that up. I met with her the other day and went over the budget with her on Thursday morning. She's very knowledgeable, she's very skilled, and she's one of our own. I see people laugh. Is he behind me?
Is anybody else running for
We'll do one more, Mayor, when you jump over to council. To all the candidates, the next administration, Mayor, will be responsible for the water plant expansion. What is your heavy construction experience to assist, manage, and monitor the progress and cost of the expansion?
So at the plant that I work, we do have a wastewater treatment facility. I have been involved in construction projects throughout my years. I have been studying for a PMP certification with PMI, which is Project Management Institute. I manage budgets. I manage budgets now at work. I will continue to do so. We do heavy construction at various plants that I've worked at in the past. And we were able to get those completed on time and on budget.
Everyone in the bathroom. I think it's important to understand that we have a village engineer that is very qualified in this area and has been with this village for a long time. As far as my background in building plants, I have none. I don't think that I should have to have that when we have a qualified engineer. I have a good common sense background and a good construction background, and I have worked with bids, and I can read the bids, and I know what's going on there. But as far as the accolades of building plants, large plants like that, honestly, that's not my forte.
All right, so again, I have to dissent, right? You know, I'm not paid to be, I mean, at 18,000, whatever it is, for your yearly salary. That's not my gig. I'm not an engineer. But we employ John Gross. He's the engineer. He's entitled. He's part of that development. I spent some time out there last Thursday with John. He showed me, you know, how that's a living bioorganism, how all of that stuff works. It's pretty fascinating. And I encourage council and Jim and those guys to go out and really take a look at it. The expansion part, I was shown, you know, what needs to be expanded. It's pretty costly, actually. And they're talking $2.5 million to $4 million for that. So again, it goes back to preparation, having an understanding, but I don't have to be the expert.
Okay, we'll put the trustee candidates on the spot here. We have two questions, so you equal opportunity to go first. The first question is, what are your qualifications to operate heavy equipment, trucks, backhoes, etc.? And are you willing to run this equipment day and night?
I'll take that. As far as qualifications, I can run some farmer's equipment. You have past experience in construction, running dump trucks, small trucks, forklifts, that nature, bobcats, skid loaders, whatever. As far as running the truck with a plow, I could do that, but we also have employees that actually do that as well. But if I'm called out, I will do that. Or even pick up truck with a plow, whatever, but I do have past experience in that. But I think the role of township trustee is way more encompassing than just pushing snow and ice.
I've been around farm equipment my whole life. I ran excavating equipment. I have dump trucks. I run heavy equipment. I've done it forever. I've helped Jackson Township plow snow from the fire station work there, so I've done all that type of stuff. In my farming background, I think leaves me really qualified to do any of that type of work. And then as a township trustee, I think you need to have that experience and be available to do that because, as I said earlier in my opening comments, this township doesn't have the budget to hire everything done. I remember the days of the older trustees, Jim Walker, Carl Braskett. Those gentlemen put forth the effort. When they was elected trustee, that's what they did. That's part of the job. That's when you raise your hand and say, I want to do it. That's one thing you have to do. If it's snowing at 3 o'clock in the morning and you've got to get out of bed to go push snow, I I raise my hand, I'm willing to do that. If it's raining and the grave needs to be dug in the cemetery, I'll do that. That's why I feel that, well, that's the reason that I want to run for trustee. I want to see those things continue to be done and continue the tradition of those older trustees.
Okay, I should have asked these in the office order, because this question was actually addressed to Mr. Maynard, but you both have a chance to answer anyhow. How will you pay to build parks, and et cetera, and how will you continue to maintain these? Okay. Oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay. Well, right now, we got the JED tax, we're getting about $480,000 this year, projected about $800,000. When that JED was put in, it was supposed to be 50% fire, 50% general fund. Right now, we're around 68, 70% fire, and about 22% general fund. Higher Advice Code does allow for the township trustees to organize and with cooperation with county commissioners and other municipalities to establish a park district that has funding capabilities with that. And as far as maintenance on that, again, there's other block monies, grant monies, there's applications that the trustees and the township can go after for federal funds through Fish and Wildlife and ODNR and other public agencies.
In my opinion, as far as the park would go, I've heard these gentlemen here talk about park space. In my opinion, it would be money more well spent to have a joint venture with the village and create a really nice park, rather than the village have this little park over here, the township have a park over here. I think we should work together with these gentlemen and build one great park that the whole community can use.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, over to the council. To all the candidates, in your opinion, what is the main problem facing the village? And tell me details about how you will fix it.
Obviously, we've all talked about this. The main problem is obviously growth and the problems that come with growth. We have to continue on with the maintenance and the upgrading of the water and sewage. We also have to continue on pushing with the sidewalk project. We have to continue and push forward with the parks, like you said, and Mr. Jan had mentioned. I'm looking at the center of the community right there at behind Boggs. That's the center of this community. That needs to be developed as a plan. There's a plan currently in progress for that. We need to push forward for that. Mayor Hammond has been, and this council here has been very fiscal for us. He's left us a lot of, left us a nice nest egg for us, and we can use that nest egg to start applying those projects. We need to, I feel that we need to get with our business people. Maybe, I know we don't have enough, large enough to do a merchants, but maybe have a business association. And maybe get with them, they can actually speak with us as on council and talk about their problems they have, not just with the village, but just within the business.
From what I've noticed, I think the problem does not lie within the village. I think the problem lies with the people that sit behind the bench. Several of them won't make a decision. They're afraid to pull the trigger. There's been certain things that's said on the table for months. There's been items that haven't been settled in over a year. The problem's not the community. The problem is the people behind the bench. If I'm placed behind the bench in their position, I want to see that things are taken care of in a timely fashion. If it's a hard decision, it has to be made. If people don't like it, it still has to be made. It has to be done. Things should not sit on the table for 4, 5, 6 months at a time. They have to be handled, they have to be dealt with, you have to listen to the citizens and get it completed.
I agree a lot with both these gentlemen here. I agree a lot with Scott. We need to get things done. I think it's been an issue, as he said. A lot of times, things will just be thrown out there and then never resolved. We need to get that done. We need to get it done quick. And we need to listen to the community. I think that's a huge issue right now that we have. A lot of people are making decisions on what they feel is the best for the community without going out and asking anybody. I've been to a lot of the council meetings where they said, well, I've been to this community or I've been to that part of town, or, some council members have even said they've come back to my neighborhood. Well, I've never seen a council member in my neighborhood. I've never seen them coming over and asking me how I felt about the community. So I think that's something that needs to change. We need to listen to people, and I think we need to, that's the way we go about making this community a lot better.
Okay, the next question, all the candidates. What is your view on building a new community center and a new library expansion? How will we pay for that? And why do we need it since we have a very good community center you are sitting in right now?
Community center and library is a great idea. However, I don't think this town right now is big enough to sustain it. If we had a bigger tax base, if we had a bigger percentage, maybe. We don't have the tax base, we don't have the percentage, especially with it just being lowered. That's going to strain us even further. There are a lot of other things that need handled long before a community center or a library.
I agree a lot with Scott there. I think this works great right now where we're currently sitting. It would be fantastic if that was realistic at this point, but it's just not. Like you said, we have a lot more important things we need to spend our money on. We've got a lot of big things coming with our infrastructure, and we need to spend them wisely and not spend it so quickly that we don't have anything left when we absolutely need it.
I'm not going to steer away from them. They're the same thing. I think at this point, and at this point of our time in the village, the way it's at, it's not large. We still can utilize the mobile library from Pickwick County. That's very active in all the neighborhoods. Get our kids to utilize the school libraries. That's always good. But at this time, I don't know. And maybe then later on, when we get some of the other projects that are currently on the table, ready to get pushed through, maybe we can get in conjunction with the village, and maybe that would be a joint effort together. Thank you.
Okay, to all candidates, are you planning to raise the taxes to 1%? And for what reason if you are?
That's a tough question. I feel that when they lowered the tax, of course I don't know anybody's personal finances here, but I personally only saw a couple dollar change in my paycheck. For what it took away from the village, I think was really not worth it. That money that they gave away could easily fund what we need for our police department. It could easily keep funding the sidewalk issue or the sidewalk projects that we have and the other projects to maintain this community. I don't know if that's feasible at this point, but that's something I'd definitely look into.
I'm absolutely against raising it. I think 3/4%, we can get exactly what we need for it. We have to be, again, fiscally responsible with the money we have. Again, Joe and the current council has put a nice little nest egg for us, and we have to be responsible. That's not renewable money that Gary was talking about. I think 3 million you said? That's not renewable money. That's there to help dip into if we need to help finish other projects. But no, I do not want to raise the tax at all.
I thought it was a terrible idea when they did it. I was 100% against it, but it's done. Let's see how far we can go with it. If it comes out in 3, 4, 5 years that we don't have enough money to fund the things that the residents want, let's talk about it then. Do I think we can get by 4 years with the 3/4% that we're down to now? Yeah, I think there's enough. Is there gonna come a time in the future where it has to go up? Absolutely. If the residents still want more, somebody's gotta pay for it. The village can't keep coughing up the money out of that savings account. The tax has to go up eventually. Where, when, can't say. I'm not a fortune teller, I can't see the future. But it's at 3/4%, let's do it the best we can do now and go with it for there.
Okay, fellow candidates as well, you all know or should know the costs involved in having a full-time police force versus the use of the sheriff with our chief. Would your agenda allow raising the taxes back to pay for this, even though the sheriff has been providing excellent service?
First of all, let's get this straight. When they talk about full-time police department, getting a full-time police department, it's not 24/7. They're misleading you with that. It's not a 24/7 coverage, full-time, paid professional police department. That's not gonna happen. We do not have enough funds for that. Now, they're talking about 2 full-time police officers and a bunch of reserves. That's great. We've done it before. Jim Gazalka, we talked about that, and we spent most of our efforts training these reserves, and then what happens? They go elsewhere. So, right now, I feel that we are being fiscally responsible. We're getting the best bang for our buck. And that's what I think we continue on until this village grows larger. Thank you.
I'm just the opposite on that. I don't think having the sheriff's office is being fiscally responsible right now. I know, I can't prove it to you right now. I've asked the sheriff for copies of the records, but I do know that there's been probably 30 days or better now where the sheriff has been working the same hours as our chief. So now we're paying the chief and we're paying the sheriff. That's terrible business sense. They want to tout that we've got the most hours of coverage now that we've ever had. It's simply not true. I brought it up the other day privately to someone in the village that sits behind the desk and said it was our chief's fault. No. The sheriff is being hired to do a job. We're paying them from our tax money. They should work when we want them to work. Simple as that. Do we have enough money to support 24/7? No. Do I think we can support 24/7 right now, or do we need it? No. Do we need to do something to our officers to keep them here? Yes. Can they make 50, 60, 70,000 a year like in Grove City? Absolutely not. But should they be paid more than $13 or $14 an hour coming in 30 hours a week? That's terrible too. You can't live on that. It's too many hours to have another full-time job, and it's not enough hours to live on. But things need correction. I know, it's fine.
I agree with Scott on a lot of the issues. We need the coverage. And what council currently has with the sheriff's office, it doesn't provide what we need. They, like Scott said, they're here the same time as our chief. So they may look like they're getting more hours on paper, but when you're here at the same time, it makes no sense. Why are we paying all that money? I think we need to spend the money we have, budget it for the police department, and actually give the chief the tools he needs to do his job. A lot of times, we don't have, they say we're a training ground. Officers leave. But we need to give them a little bit of a benefit to stay here. We currently don't have that. Nobody wants to work for that kind of money. So I think we need to further develop our police department, and I think we need to give the chief the tools to do his job.
Okay, one more for the council candidates. If elected, what is the first thing you would do to improve our village?
Well, again, my job on council will be just to make sure we're fiscally responsible with the money we have. I think we're going in the right direction. We need to keep things getting pushed through. So to change anything, I like this community the way it is. I don't think it's, I talked to my neighbor yesterday, he doesn't come to any of the village meetings, he's a deputy sheriff with Ben, and I said, do you find this village to be a problem?
Do you see it going downhill? And he said, absolutely not, I would have been moved by now. This is a good community. I'm not changing anything. I just want to be fiscally responsible with the money we have. Thank you. I agree with Mr. Cabrera a lot. We do have a great village. I love living here. As far as what we need to change, we need to make this place something that everybody's proud of. We need to continue with the sidewalk projects. I think that's a great idea. We just need to stay, like John said, fiscally responsible, and we need to maintain the safety of this village.
Before any one project, if somebody wants to run right out and do it, I mean, that's great. But there's things in-house that need fixed first. Whether it be employment issues with the police department, whether it be employment issues with different positions, whether Wendy needs help, whether she doesn't need help. Things need fixed in-house first. And immediately after that, we need a plan. We can't do what previous councils have done and just wing it. Whatever comes in this day, whatever comes in that day. We need a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, something to look forward to in the future, something to build to, something to work to. But most importantly, we got to fix our house first. Then we can move outside and do other things.
Okay, we'll jump back over to the other side of the room here, to all the mayoral candidates. Tell us what the role of village council is and what the role of the mayor. How do these two entities work together to get things done? How are you going to work with council to get things done? Give specific details.
It's really quite simple. The mayoral part is the administrative part. The council is legislative. And they make the laws, and the mayor makes sure that he fulfills the wishes of the council. The council and the mayor have to be a team. It cannot succeed if you have split councils. I've been in that position. It doesn't succeed, it doesn't work, and it will never work. So as a team, you need to utilize the committee of the whole, you need to utilize the committees, you need to utilize the council. You need to communicate with each other. You need to communicate with your village administrators. You need to communicate with your solicitors and your engineers. You need to get out from behind that desk and do something about it. You need to be able to go ahead and not make a decision that night when you haven't done any research. You can only meet 12 times a year. You can pass emergency measures and everything like that, or try to avoid that. You're making a decision 12 times a year to run a business that has over $1 million in it. So you better be prepared.
I agree a lot with what Jim said there. Yes, administrative and legislative, two different branches of the government. The mayor pretty much does, at the pleasure of council, what needs to be done. I've been working very closely with teamwork all my life. I was in leadership development, training classes. I was the trainer for those classes at U.S. Steel. But it's the team that has to succeed. And on top of that, we have to listen to the members of the community. Now, one of the things that we probably need to start looking at is how do we pull together the Chestnut Estates, the West Scioto Green, the Walker Point into some, the Genoa, all of the communities, pull them together and try to find out what their issues are and try to get those rectified.
Took it off me this time.
Yeah, that's a great question. Under the Ohio Revised Code 733.24, the mayor is the chief conservator of the peace. So it is the job of the mayor to oversee all law enforcement and to make sure that laws, et cetera, are established and properly followed within the community. He's the president of the legislative authority. So he presides over all council meetings as well as special committee meetings. The thing is that we need accountability, right? We need communication that's clear, put out to the community. We need people that are willing to join together, follow the vision, and ensure that it gets completed. We don't have that right now. We don't have that leader in place that can cast a vision, set a strategic plan, work with the township. Ronnie and I go back a long ways. To encompass the 12,000 residents and really work in unison. To develop something that we're proud of. To develop something that's good for our kids.
Dang,
Love it.
please kick back this way. It says it's being addressed as Jim Kazelka and the others, so I guess that's all the candidates. If elected, if elected, would you support raising taxes, and why or why not?
Through fiscal responsibility, we were able to lower the tax. We were able to lower the RETA tax from 1% to 0.75%. Ben didn't see it. That's okay. That's okay. It was lowered. I would not be in support of raising it. Now, maybe in the future we may, but who knows? You need to continue down the line of fiscal responsibility. We are going to get more rooftops. We are going to get more people paying into the taxes. So there will be more money coming in, okay? And you have to spend wisely. It's not my money we're spending. It's our money. Each and every one of us that paid RETA taxes paid for that fund. And it's my job as on council, and it will be my job as mayor to make sure that we continue to spend wisely. There's not, my wife says it best, today's a looking day, it's not a buying day. Okay, that's when we were needing money. We had to watch what we were doing, and we were looking for the right bargain, and we were watching the contracts, and we were doing what we needed to do to spend wisely.
For years, this village had very little to operate on. Past mayors can attest to that fact. With RETA tax coming in still, it didn't open up a floodgate of money, but it allowed us to have a good rainy day fund and do some things for the people. We have $1 million+ in there. I think it's a savings account. It's my money, your money. We need to do things with that money. We also need to hold the developers accountable for their subdivisions. We don't need to go into those subdivisions and build parks. That's their responsibility. They need to do something for the children within their own communities. We don't need to go do that, but we need a central area. We need to have something for our children, for the whole town. Having $1 million in the bank account doesn't mean we're rich, because you never know what's going to happen. Our lines, our sanitary lines, are not in the greatest condition. Our storm sewers are not in the greatest condition. And we have many roads that need repaired. We need to finish the sidewalks. So the money has to be well spent, and you have to be conservative, and you have to know where you're going to put that dollar, because you have to have a rainy day fund left over for those emergencies.
Well, I agree with what Jim just got done saying, but, when's enough enough? We currently pay that 1% or that 0.75%, but we're not seeing anything in return. Again, we still don't have the police department fully funded. We talked, council had an opportunity to talk about that. And I think that needs to be addressed because it's important to all of us. We have a school that sits over here that's our primary responsibility. I believe that we should make the chief full-time position, and I believe that 3 part-time 10-hour shifts would give us the type of coverage that we need and that we expect as a municipality of this size. Now, I talked to Wendy on Thursday, and I have the budget right here. She assures me we can fund that with a 3/4% tax rate now and not have to raise anything. So that's good news, right? We know we got 144 new homes coming in at Chestnut. Another, I don't know what the initial addition is over at Walker Point, 44 plus. But each time there's a hot rooftop, there's more money for the RETA. Ronnie said it. I'm not done yet. Ronnie said it, very well. They get a jet. We have that jet agreement. It's for joint economic development. I think we just need to share the costs and work really as a community.
Okay, this is addressed to Gary, but all the candidates will have a chance to answer. If elected, how do you plan to repair relationships you have with council members and administration that will remain after the election?
Well, administratively, it'll probably be changed. Council member, again, it goes back to building those relationships. The things that have happened that we've talked about on Facebook, you can go back and research the Facebook pages, etc. There was no attacks. It's nothing personal. It's not anything that is defaming in any way. The problem is today, you can't speak the truth about somebody being offended by it. The things that I posted out there are things that were run on 4 years ago. The things that I posted out there are truly how I believe. It's not a personal attack on a councilman's wife. So that type of stuff is something that has to be repaired. What's one of the key verses in the Bible? Forgive, to be forgiven. So we have to work, again, we have to work together. We have to build a trust. I don't like the decisions that they're making. I wouldn't be standing up here talking. But I think it's my job as the mayor to hold them accountable. And it's your job as a community to make sure that that stuff's enforced. You elect them, so they'll be back up for a vote again. But I think clear, concise communication will be key to keep you informed.
This is important. I'm going to come out here this time. There shouldn't be any repair work that needs to be done if you have a council that is willing to work with the mayor and the mayor that's willing to work with the council. You need to have that understanding right out of the gate. You don't have to go apologize for your actions. You don't have to go trying to be buddies and baking cakes. You need to get the job done as a team, strictly as a team. You need to have that communication wide open all the time. Can't be part-time. You can't have it your way all the time. They can't have it their way all the time. You don't want to sit there and try to be a mayor that's going to rule with an iron hand, and you don't want to have a council that's going to constantly run head first with the mayor. It doesn't work. This is for the village's good. This is not for Jim Kazalkas, not for the councils being elected. This is for you. You are going to choose the people that are going to come up here on this next election and sit at those seats. Choose wisely. Don't care if it's me, don't care if it's Gary, whoever it might be. Just choose wisely. Choose the best for you.
It's been said many times, this is a great community. It truly is. We've got a great school district. We've got a great community. I'm not going to run down the hallway, so you won't have to worry about chasing. Okay, but what I will say is, building teams and working with teams takes good communication skills. Okay, you have to, at times, close your mouth and open your ears, because people will tell you, the council will tell you, the residents will tell you what's truly important. I'm not doing any politicking on Facebook. I read it, I monitor it, sure, why wouldn't I? But I'm not gonna reply and I'm not gonna fight back over Facebook. That's not the place to be. Now, if you wanna have discussions, we can have discussions. On my literature is my telephone number. I encourage anybody that wants to call me, okay? I've heard that, you know, you work so much and how are we gonna be able to get a hold of you? I can tell you that there's residents here that have had to get a hold of me while I was at work, and I answered those calls. I answered those calls and I got them the information that they needed. And we need to work together, and that's what we need to continue to do. And it's not that hard to repair relationships because we are a close-knit community.
Thank you. Okay, I'll put these two questions that are sort of related, so I'll put them together. First one, it is addressed to Gary and all, and the next one, well, the first one's to Gary, the next one's to Gary and all. The first question is, what are your thoughts about bringing John Murphy back? And the second one, if elected, what is your solution to our police department?
Well, again, going back to what Jim said earlier, I got to first get elected. You know, part of the hiring process will be to vet candidates. And last thing I knew that John Murphy's not a candidate. We know that there is a lawsuit that is currently going on. If that lawsuit, you know, if a judge rules that he has to have a job, then you're forced to do that. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. As far as the police department, you know, Adam and I will work together. You know, we'll work together to ensure that this community is safe, that the monies are spent appropriately. He'll have goals and objectives that he has to meet, and I don't have a problem. I'm not one that hides behind Facebook. I'll tell you right to your face. If he doesn't meet the goals, he'll be held accountable. That's the job of the mayor. If you don't do that, you're derelict in your duties. And that's the responsibility that I know walking in that I'm going to have to manage. We have to hire competent individuals. We have to hire people that we're proud of as a community. You know, we talk about the sheriff's department riding their bike through the neighborhoods. Well, you know what? We can do that too if we pay them and we keep people long enough.
Okay, Gary said something that I don't agree with. To my knowledge, the village has yet to be served with a complaint. But I am aware of the plaintiff's allegations based on his postings on social media. However, after talking with legal counsel for the village, he's advised me not to comment on this frivolous lawsuit, its attempt to affect this election. We do plan to defend and win this lawsuit should one be brought in a court of law. And would I bring such named officer back? I voted for him not to be confirmed, so the answer is no.
Police department sure is a hot topic, isn't it? It seems to be overshadowing everything. But a while back, the chief, Gary Joyner, myself, Mr. Sadler back there, Councilman Sadler, put together a program. It offers a full-time chief, a second full-time officer, a third part-time 30-hour officer, and reserve officers, total of 5. The total budget that we put together, including all the PERS and everything else, retirement, I believe totaled up to be about $181,184.64. Now that is with going and talking with Wendy. So can we afford a police department? Sure we can. But I still think we need to put together a right police department. We need to have a marriage between the sheriff's department and the village. and make this a very slow, long process. And have the right people to make sure that they're going to want to live here, retire from our police department, and go on and be part of our lives.
And will it bring Murphy back? I don't know. Probably not.
Okay, to all mayoral candidates, how do you plan on fixing, upgrading the water issues? For example, build up on appliances, tubs, sinks. How do you plan on fixing, upgrading the water issues? For example, build up on appliances, tubs, sinks.
There are, first off, the water plant and the water employees that we have there now are more qualified and certified than we've ever had there before. There are separate issues when it comes to subdivisions and the main part of the village. We can soften the water more and it'd probably be okay for those in the subdivisions. If we soften it too much though, we'll destroy the piping on the inside of the village. Okay, the older portion of the village. So, how are we going to address that? I can tell you this, water quality has improved over the 4 years that we've been in. We've had one boil alert in 4 years, and that was this year during the June, July flood period, and there was really not a whole lot anybody could do because of the flooding. But we really have to watch with the water. If we make it too soft, we're going to, and I'm sorry, my appliances, same as yours, have some buildup, but we could destroy houses inside the village.
The water issue has always been an improvement issue from when I first came to this village until now. When I first came to this village, it had a wonderful color to it. Okay? As we grew with our water plant and got bigger, that color disappeared, but then we had some hardness issues. So as we grow with new plants and new innovations and new ideas that are coming in and new equipment, I am sure that the quality will get better. Can we do anything about it right now? We're doing, I think, as much as we can. I agree with Randy. I do know that our lines within the inner village and the older part of the village are fragile. A lot of copper out there yet, and that becomes a big issue when you start softening a lot of water. Will we get better in the future? We got better from 30 years ago, so I'm sure we're going to get better in the future. And it will only get better because our residents require that and need that, and we continually monitor that to do that.
You know, I was out there with John, who's the superintendent over the wastewater treatment plant. And if you get an opportunity, go out there, give him a call, meet with Wendy, give him a call, and go out and tour that plant, because it's pretty cool. He told me, because there was a resident that had emailed, what are we going to do about the hardness, or what are we going to do about the calcium deposits? And I asked him that question specifically. He said, without applying chemicals to the water, you can't do anything further. It is as good as it's going to get. That water comes from the Taze River. It comes from an aquifer. I think that's the proper way to pronounce it. And it's going to have calcium. I had a guy just recently put in a water softening treatment thing, do-love it. And he said the water, the hardness and stuff was pretty good. So I don't know, like I said, you know, that's what I pay John for. So John would have to be the expert and advise, you know, as far as if we can get it any better in the future. I know that they're talking about tapping another well out on Lehman Farms, but they haven't been able to find a place where they can draw that water yet. So.
Okay, we'll go back to the question for the township trustees. Since the JEDD money is 50% for the fire department, How would you propose to financially stabilize the fire department? Would you ask for a fire levy?
That's something that I'm not real up on right now. From what I've done for my research, I don't know that there actually is a set percentage on the jet tax from one thing to another. But as an overseer of the community, if I would get elected, we have to maintain the security of the citizens, just like these guys are talking about the police department. We have to maintain our fire department. You know, we want the service level that we come to expect, and we want it to be better. So we have to maintain the people, we have to maintain the training, the qualifications. So if it means that we have to put a fire levy on, then by all means, yes, we have to put a fire levy on. But we have to be physically responsible for what we already have. So, you know, it goes with what all these gentlemen are saying about the village. No different.
Again, I echo some of the same comments that Ron said there, but first we got to look at the budget, see exactly where the expenditures are going. Again, like I said, originally, from the research I did, the gym was 50% fire, 50% general, right around 68, 70% like that now. But until you look at the budget and see exactly where expenditures are going, there's other avenues, mutual aid agreements, as far as getting the joint agreement or even higher vice code allows for maybe township mergers or something like that in the future. But the fire levy is off the table, no. What I want to do is, the goal would be make this station the destination station, not a training station. So we don't get employees, get them in, get them trained, get them equipment, give them the best equipment they got, then get the certification credentials that they move on. You know, stable community, the growing community we have, we must have good, actually great fire and ambulance protection. So that is critical, that is forefront of the township's responsibilities. So if it does need a fire levy in the future, then so be it. But again, we got the new houses coming in roughly